the phone right now, Neal Atkinson from BetSaracen's, Arkansas's favorite sports betting app. You want to put a little wager on tomorrow's Razorback Kentucky baseball game. You want to put a little money on your thoughts that Arkansas can advance to the College World Series or win the College World Series, or you got thoughts on the Super Bowl. It's all on the BetSaracen app, and make sure you're inside the state of Arkansas to use it. Download BetSaracen from the App Store for Apple users, Google Play for Android users, any web browser as well, BetSaracen.com. Neal, feels like, now I know we got a lot going on this week, but it also feels that this weekend is just kind of like a quiet before a storm.
Well, it may be a quiet before the storm if you're a football fan only. If you're a basketball fan, this weekend, the matchups that we got on college basketball tomorrow, there's some great games tomorrow, especially, and most of them involving SEC teams. So, yeah, and behind the scenes, we're doing a lot getting ready for the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, on Tuesday morning in the early mornings, we're going to take the site down, not to do any maintenance. Well, I guess it's considered maintenance. We're not going to be doing any updates. We're just going to take it down, and we're going to simulate approximately a 30% load increase year over year to basically do a full stress test on the system to make sure when we get in the thick of all the record-breaking activity that we think we're going to have over Super Bowl weekend, like we have just about a lot of the weekends we had this year in college football and NFL, you know, because so many people are getting on the platform, that we are absolutely ready for that. And also, we also got to be ready because that's when a lot of the hackers like to attack a lot of the sites and sports bets and gambling sites and sports books right before the Super Bowl are always the target for the hackers. So we've got our due diligence up. We've got a little bit extra tightness on the security there. And just everything that gets ready for a big event like we're going to have with the Super Bowl. That's the non-fun stuff that I'm doing in the background. The fun stuff is looking at all the props and the bets and the specials and getting ready for it. And the public-facing part of it is the fun part of it.
How many props do you think you're going to have? I don't know if you know the exact number, but, I mean, do you remember how many, like, what's the most props you've seen on one Super Bowl? Because, I mean, you're talking about dozens upon dozens sometimes.
Oh, I mean, I'm thinking we're going to be in the 500 to 600 range by the time we're done. And it depends on if you count the market or count the selections in the market. If you count the different types of selections you can make, it's well over 1,000, maybe even 2,000. But the specific markets and the betting lines that you can bet the outcome on are going to be in the hundreds. And we're still producing them all the way up because somebody will give us an idea of something that we hadn't thought of. If we can put a line on it and tie it to a stat that we do, we're getting pretty good because, year after year, we're adding to the menu, and a lot of those are already pre-developed and already on the site. And typically, the funny thing is these exotic props usually wouldn't come out until after the All-Star game. Heck, we started putting those up on Monday and Tuesday, And one of the most favorite ones is the coin toss. Is it going to be heads or tails? And that's one of the first ones we get asked for because you don't have to have a lot of skill to make a pick on that one. And that's an easy one if you want to make a choice on it.
I would think one of the more popular ones would be Saquon Barkley. I don't know what number you'd put up there for rushing yards, but it certainly does feel like not the entire game rests on his shoulders, but Barkley has himself a big game. Eagles may have themselves a big Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, absolutely. And talking about having a big Super Bowl Sunday, you're giving me flashbacks to 2 years ago. We at BetSaracen took it real big on the chin when the last time the Eagles and the Kansas City's met up because, we have a huge local bias on Kansas City around here, and we're seeing that on this Super Bowl also. I mean, most of the bets so far are coming in at BetSaracen on Kansas City. I'm sure that's different in the Pennsylvania books, but here it is Kansas City. But one of the fun markets that I've kind of looked at are some of the Super Bowl record breakers that you can do. And the lowest odds one is any player to break the Super Bowl rushing records, yards records of 205 plus rushing yards at plus 650. So that's the Super Bowl record, all the way over to plus 50,000 odds for any player to break the Super Bowl record for passing TDs, which are 7+. So you got pretty good extremes there, but there's some long odds on that. And hey, I got news for you. If those odds are really big, it's not supposed to happen, and it's not likely it happens. So don't bet the farm on that stuff. But hey, it's some of those props that if they do come down, you can hit them. And look, we had a lot of people. The doink bet. I mean, I never thought I'd be on the radio and be in sports betting and talking about a doink. But the doink bet is one that just the public has gravitated towards. And a doink is defined as an extra point or a field goal that hits the upright and does not go in. People ask me, what if it goes in? Well, it's a field goal or it's an extra point. So that we already have markets for those. But the doink bet is just amazing to see how many people just want to bet that. And heck, if you bet that in the national championship game, you cashed in on that bet.
I know, fans love to put parlays together, and that's really where, you do face long odds, but you also end up sometimes coming through with some of the biggest winnings that are possible. Are you allowed to put together parlays from the prop bets for the Super Bowl?
Not all of them, no. Any bet that already has a combination built into it, you're not going to be able to do. And a lot of these that we put into the specials, like the novelty specials, the player specials, the quarter specials, we've already because a lot of those bets have same game parlay, which means they're correlated. Like for instance, if you're going to bet the over for the first half, it's likely that if the over hits on the first half, it's going to hit for the entire game. So there's correlations that we all do different formulas on, and those that already have same game correlations built into them are not eligible to be put into a parlay because in a sense they're a parlay by themselves. Most of what you're going to be able to put on the parlay are the player stats, the alternate props, the yardage, receptions, tackles, assists, all of that. That's what you're going to mainly put in your parlays, and that's all mainly surrounding by player props. Of course, you can put first half, second half lines in there. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter. You can combine all of those. Just remember, when you put correlated bets where the outcome of one determines the outcome of the other, it may not be advantageous for you to put that in your parlay or increase your payout that much because they are that related. If you really want a better payout on a parlay, put markets that are not directly tied to each other, and you'll get a much better payout. And I don't know if you saw earlier this week, we had a person compose a $5 13-team parlay. Most of them were money or against the spread, and a couple of them were hockey puck lines. And he knocked down all 13 of them, and he got paid $60 off of a $5 bet, and that's one heck of an accomplishment there.
Holy moly! I mean, I'd seen about the parlay where a bettor won $109,000 on 14 futures with the College World Series champion, the College Football champion, NBA, and World Series champions. Picking one or two of them can be difficult sometimes. To pick all four of them, especially the baseball college championship. Like that's the one that you're just never quite sure about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't me, nobody that I knew, because he did pick Tennessee to win the national championship in the College World Series. But he made that bet, I think, 4 different times. And, the odds changed on some of those markets. He did it early, then he put more down on it. Then the odds changed a little bit, and he put more on it. Now, he had some other combinations that were losing combinations out there. But it wasn't like he was, spreading the gambit out there, and he won 109, but he spent – 100,000 on different other combinations of bets. But yeah, that one right there. I mean, when that popped and I saw that on the liability sheet, once the national championship game set out, I go, wow, where did that come from? And I went and looked at the selections and I'm like, wow, I got his number. I'm going to ask him what the lottery numbers are going to be later on this week. That is some great picking there, but and he was serious about it. $100 for a season long multiple sport championship of those events. I mean, that's not any small money, and that's why it paid so much. But that 13 parlay at $5, wow, that to me was more impressive because that was on one night of games, and it was basketball and hockey and some football over and unders were in that particular parlay. So it wasn't just that he just got lucky and just started mashing numbers, that he did some research when they made that bet. So, and it cashed for him. And hey, $5 to $50,000 is a pretty good day's work for me.
Now, you'd mentioned it, I think, about 7 or 8 minutes ago. The Super Bowl weekend is a weekend where the betting apps are just very, very popular and active, and also one of the more dangerous weekends for hackers to be able to find a way to get into your account. Is the best way to combat that just changing your password?
Yeah, that's what you need to do. And see, we have a large number of our users that are major event bettors. That means the last time they were in that app is when they put a fun little bet on maybe the national championship game or one of the playoff games, and the next time they log in the app is right before the Super Bowl. And you can read stories. You can go to the internet. It's almost a daily occurrence where you read about these data breaches. And if you have used, and a lot of us use our emails addresses as our login, or we use the same login or usernames. And then the other thing we're guilty of, and I'm guilty of it too, I've gotten a lot better at it because my eyes have been open just knowing what I know in internet security running a sportsbook app. If you reuse a password on anything that has to do money, and it is a reused password, you are exposing yourself to your account to be hijacked. Because if they acquire, if another company has a data breach and that's what you've used and they haven't encrypted their passwords and get a hold of that, what these companies do, what these hackers do, or companies, they're kind of like companies, they're illegal criminal organizations, is they have software and use AI, and they write a script that just goes through and just logs into random sites like sportsbook sites, banking sites, Amazon, whatever, and they just see if that credential works. And if you have reused that across multiple sites and they get in, they have access to your account, all of your data. If you have stored payment on there, they have access to be able to use that. Now, at BetSaracen, with what we have to do, we have controls to be able to identify that. But what we see is right before the Super Bowl and these major events, sportsbooks especially are a target for that type of activity. And we are diligent, and if you do get asked for extra identification next time you log into your account, it's not us being difficult, is that, hey, we've noticed some attempted logins around your account, that we may lock it down to make sure it's you before you get back into it, before we let you back into it. So it's just a world we live in with internet and passwords and things of that nature. And in the next couple of months, we're going to be deploying some newer technology as far as passwords that's banking level encrypted type login, where you don't have to have a password to get in your site. You'll be able to use biometrics and a token on your phone, and that prevents somebody just from logging in from a random computer anywhere and accessing your information. So we're seeing that, and we're seeing it at those attacks more often. Do not reuse your passwords, and that just is not for gambling sites. That's for anywhere, because these hackers have gotten really sophisticated. I think even Ticketmaster is under an attack right now, and they were a source of one of the big data breaches last year. If you've ever bought a ticket anywhere and have that information in there, that data is out there on the dark web, so you have to be careful.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.